Could you believe it? Just when you thought the NFL offseason couldn't throw any more curveballs, just when you thought you'd heard every wild rumor and seen every jaw-dropping trade, another seismic tremor hits the league. Remember that gut punch feeling when you saw the news of a blockbuster deal, a player you thought was untouchable suddenly changing uniforms? Well, what if that feeling, that unsettling mix of shock and intrigue, is about to hit closer to home for Falcons fans? What if the next monumental move, the next headline-grabbing trade, involves none other than our own enigmatic star, Kyle Pitts? For months, the whispers have lingered, a low hum in the background of every Falcons discussion. Will they trade Kyle Pitts? And I hear you, Falcons faithful. I truly do. Many of you are probably rolling your eyes right now, thinking, not this again. We're tired of this narrative. Believe me, I didn't plan on bringing this up today, but then the NFL, in its infinite capacity for chaos and drama, delivered a bombshell, a blockbuster trade, a true earth-shaker between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers, involving players you'd never expect to see moved. And in the immediate aftermath, a new, more urgent chatter began to emerge. The Dolphins, now with a new hole to fill, might be picking up the phone for a certain dynamic tight end. Our own Chat Sports Dolphins host, Nick Roloff, tweeted it out, Miami looking at Kyle Pitts. And when a respected voice like that drops a nugget, you can't just bury your head in the sand. You have to face the music. Because in today's NFL, especially as we inch closer to July 4th, with Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber players getting dealt, the seemingly impossible suddenly feels very, very possible. Let's be clear. This isn't a definitive declaration that Kyle Pitts is packing his bags for South Beach. If I were a betting man, I'd still lean towards no. But after waking up this morning to the news that a player like Jalen Ramsey was traded to the Steelers and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who started his career in Miami, was sent back to the Dolphins, a move that began with a first-round pick trade years ago, you learn a crucial lesson. In this league, you never say never. The Falcons, at this stage, aren't exactly pounding the pavement trying to offload Pitts. It would take an offer they simply couldn't refuse. And honestly, I don't see the Dolphins, an organization that some might argue has a history of questionable personnel decisions, making such an offer. But then again, if you believe in the unpredictable nature of the NFL, if you believe that general managers can sometimes make moves that defy conventional wisdom, then yes, the possibility, however slim, gains some serious legs. So, why would the Dolphins even be eyeing Pitts? The recent trade created a void, and Miami, clearly in win-now mode, needs to fill it with a high-caliber talent. They're looking for a tight end who can stretch the field, create mismatches, and provide a reliable target for their quarterback. Kyle Pitts, with his rare blend of size, speed, and athleticism, fits that bill perfectly. He's a player who, despite some inconsistent usage in Atlanta, still possesses elite potential, a true unicorn at the position. For Miami, it's about acquiring a game changer, someone who can immediately elevate their offense and keep their Super Bowl window wide open. But let's shift our focus back to Atlanta. From the Falcons' perspective, why would they even entertain such a thought? Why would they consider trading away a former top 5 pick, a player with such immense upside, especially when they've just invested heavily in a young quarterback like Michael Penix Jr.? The answer lies in the delicate balance of team building, immediate needs, and future compensation. Consider the hypothetical offer of a 4th-round draft pick for Pitts, a scenario we've discussed before. From Atlanta's standpoint, that's simply not enough. Here's why. A 4th-round pick acquired now doesn't help the team in the upcoming 2025 season. That pick is still in its egg, representing a college player who won't be available until the 2026 NFL Draft. The Falcons need immediate reinforcements, players who can contribute this season. Trading Pitts for a future pick that offers no immediate utility is a tough sell. Furthermore, if the Falcons were to trade Pitts for a 4th-rounder and gain nothing of immediate use for the 2025 campaign, you could strongly argue it's better to hold on to him. Let him play out his contract, allow him to walk in free agency, and then reap the benefits of a compensatory draft pick. While the exact formula for comp picks is shrouded in NFL mystery, Factoring in his next contract, playing time, and the Falcons' own free agency spending, a projection of a future fifth-round pick in the 2027 NFL Draft is entirely plausible if he signs a significant deal elsewhere. So, the question becomes, would you rather have Kyle Pitts' production for the entire 2025 season and a future fifth-round compensatory pick, or no Kyle Pitts and a fourth-round pick 1 year earlier? For Terry Fontenot, the Falcons' general manager, who is facing the pressure of 4 straight losing seasons, holding onto a potential game-changer for his young quarterback's development makes a lot more sense than a slightly earlier but less valuable future pick. This brings us to the critical consideration: Michael Penix Jr.'s development. The Falcons stuck their necks out, taking Penix in the top 10 of the draft. His success, and by extension the team's future, hinges on providing him with the best possible environment to grow. Kyle Pitts, despite some past frustrations, is a unique weapon, a security blanket, and a mismatch nightmare that can significantly aid a young quarterback's progression. To trade him away for anything less than an overwhelming offer could be seen as potentially souring Penix's development. Is a fourth-round pick truly worth the squeeze when the stakes are this high? I'd argue emphatically no. So what would it take? If I were Terry Fontenot and the Miami Dolphins called saying, listen, we just traded away a key piece, but we're not punting on this year. We want a new tight end, and we want Kyle Pitts. We think Pitts and Tua would be a great tandem. My opening negotiation would start at a third-round draft pick. And I know what you're thinking, a third-rounder for a tight end who hasn't hit 1,000 yards or more than 4 touchdowns in a season? It's an aggressive ask, perhaps even an unfair one by conventional trade value metrics. But here's my rationale. The Falcons are already fighting next year's draft with one hand tied behind their back. They don't have a first-round pick in 2026 traded to move up for James Pierce, and they don't have a fifth-round pick traded to move up for Xavier Watts. Their top 5 rounds next year consist of a second, a third, and a fourth. They need to replenish their draft capital, and they need it in a way that can genuinely impact the team. A third-round pick, while not a mountain mover, is a significant asset. I'm simply not interested in a day 3 pick, 4th round or later, because as discussed, it doesn't provide immediate help for the current season. If this trade were being discussed back in March or April, a 4th rounder might have made some sense. You could offload Pitt's guaranteed salary to the Dolphins and potentially use that cap space to sign another free agent. But now, in July, all the good free agents are signed. Generating extra cap space doesn't help you sign someone who can contribute immediately. Therefore, if the Dolphins want Pitts now, they have to overpay. They get his services for the entire 2025 season. The Falcons get nothing tangible for 2025 in return for the pick. So, the compensation needs to be sweeter than his perceived value to make up for that imbalance. I'm telling the Dolphins, I'm not looking to make a fair trade, because it's not going to be a fair trade for us. You have to overpay to convince me to do this. So yes, Pitts for a third-round pick. It's a bold demand, perhaps unprecedented for a tight end with his current production profile. But if, in this hypothetical, the Dolphins actually agreed, if they said, all right, you won this negotiation, we'll do it, a third-round pick for Kyle Pitts, then yes, I'm shaking hands and making that deal. I know it carries a risk. It could be a downer for Michael Penix Jr.'s second-year development. But I'm putting enough faith in Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Ray McCloud to help boost Penix and ensure his growth isn't derailed. Sometimes, you can't be so spineless that you refuse to rock the boat, even if it's what's best for the team long-term. At this point, a third-round pick for Kyle Pitts is probably as good an offer as you're going to get in this hypothetical scenario, and it's one that, despite the emotional weight, makes strategic sense for the Falcons' long-term health. The NFL is a league of constant motion, of unexpected twists, and of strategic gambles. The rumors surrounding Kyle Pitts and the Miami Dolphins, sparked by a new void in their roster and the recent seismic shifts in the trade market, are a stark reminder that no player is truly untouchable. While the likelihood remains slim, the conditions are aligning in a way that makes this once unthinkable scenario a genuine possibility. For the Falcons, it's a high-stakes decision, balancing immediate needs, future draft capital, and the crucial development of their franchise quarterback. What do you make of all this, Falcons Nation? Is a third-round pick enough for Kyle Pitts? Would you make this trade if you were Terry Fontenot? Or do you believe Pitts is too vital to Michael Penix Jr.'s future to even consider moving him? Let your voice be heard in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into the potential blockbuster trade intriguing, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more exclusive insights and passionate breakdowns of your Atlanta Falcons. Let's keep the conversation buzzing.